Okay, when you're ready, let's go. Okay, we've been pushed down to P13. leading the pack, that's P1. And we're in front of Behrman, Novalak and Leclerc. The fastest lap at the moment, 1 minute 33.2. Confirmed, we'll receive you at the end of this lap. Understood, stopping this lap.
The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action, and until then, goodbye. So it's all about speed in today's sprint race then. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Monza is situated 12 miles northeast of Milan. It's 3.6 miles long and offers 11 corners. 7 of those are chicanes, putting a premium on good braking stability and traction. With a good slipstream plus the other 2 DRS zones available, there should be a good number of passing opportunities on offer. And we welcome you to the Formula 2 commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me for this one is Mr. Alex Brundle. And we've got this format in Formula 2, Alex, where the top 10, they get reversed from qualifying to form our grid. So the mid-order in qualifying now become contenders for the win.
Well, you've got the grid reversed, giving some drivers who wouldn't normally get it the opportunity to take a win or a podium home. They're going to be looking to snatch that opportunity if at all possible.
Okay, mate, I'm afraid we didn't quite get what we needed there, but let's not worry about it. Get your head down now, chin up, and let's focus right until the checkered flag. lap of the race, final lap. You're in first position, front of the pack. Pack, that's P1. Novalak is behind you. Less than a second separates you, and they're on old super softs. Okay, you've just started the final lap of the race. Final lap. Yes! Come on, boys! Yes, mate, I'll take that. Well done. We're really happy with the podium down here, so well done. Yes!
Great effort there from Prema to take the victory today.
Well, qualifying pole puts you 10th position on the grid for the sprint race, but they managed to zoom through and win anyway. That's not expected, but it's brilliant.
It looks like it's time for the victory ceremony once again, as I can see the drivers beginning to make their way out for the celebrations. You can see it on their faces. It's another marvellous team win for Prema today. And after all that excitement, I think it's time for a lie down. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you when Formula 2 returns. Hello and welcome back to a classic circuit, familiar to fans the world over. This is Monza. You can hear the cars ready to go. Certainly the fans are ready for some action. We're all set. So let's get this Formula 2 race underway. Monza is one of the faster circuits in Formula 2, comprising some very long straights and tight chicanes. The engine spends so long at full throttle, in fact, that engine failures are not an uncommon sight here. On top of that, the 3.6 miles of track are pretty hard on the gearbox too. As the engineers make their last inspection of the cars, let's take a look at today's grid order for the race. Maverick lines up on pole position, and it's Enzo Fittipaldi in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Behrman, Doohan, Kushmaini and Pourchaire, Novalak, Leclerc, Martins, Amaury Cordial, Benavides, Iwasa, Dennis Hauger, Roman Stanek, and Nissany, Correa, Hadjar, and Richard Verschoor. Crawford, Deruvala, Maloney, and Ralph Boschon completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. It is the Formula 2 race. It is time to introduce you to Alex Brundle. I'm Alex Jakes, and we've got changeable weather out there today. That's making for some nervous team personnel down in the paddock, down in the pit lane.
There are going to be some quivering hands on the tyre guns, aren't there, when they tighten up what could easily be the wrong specification of tyre completely for the conditions. It's a gamble out there.
The formation lap gets underway for this, the Formula 2 race, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure the car is ready for battle once the lights go out.
Okay, we can take you this lap. Okay, we've got a full course caution. The safety car's out. Keep an eye on the delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty. Slow down, maintain positive delta. Right, drop your speed. Our delta's too low and we're going to risk a penalty. Slow your pace immediately. Okay, the car behind has newer tyres than you. Maintain the gap if possible. Right, let's have you in at the end of this lap, please.
And it looks like the pit crew are out and ready to perform their magic on the car. They will be aiming to achieve the fastest pit time possible. A decent pit time then. The team will be hoping they can get back into the action as fast as possible and not lose too much time from this stop.
You only have to stop once now. One stop left. Okay, this is not your true position. They haven't pitted yet, so don't waste time fighting them. They're going to be coming in soon. Look out for a bit of understeer when trailing the car ahead. They're going to be giving off dirty air, which is going to affect our tyres, so try to get past. Okay, this isn't your true position. They haven't pitted yet, so don't waste time fighting. Bring your tyres in gently and let's go for it. ready to go racing again. The safety car is in this lap. When the field accelerates, remember there's no overtaking until the timing line. Safety car in this lap. Great manoeuvre, you made it look so easy. Ollie's in the pits. Ollie in the pits now. Okay, this is your final lap of the race. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Deruvala's behind you. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, final lap, let's go, final lap. Yes! Come on, boys! Ah, fantastic drive. That's just fantastic. Amazing. You deserved that race win. Well done, mate.
A great win then for the Prema team today.
Well, they've won, and then they've won again. Back to back, momentum really building for them at this stage of the season.
As we can now see the drivers take their places on the podium. It's a familiar sight by now, as it's another successful F2 win for Prema. It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you when Formula 2 returns.